What's good, y'all? So tonight we talking about um hot hot wait. Let me start that over. Tonight we talk about the hardware wallets, the cryptocurrency hardware wallets to take your money off the exchange. All right. So before we get started, just want to talk about why we would want to take our money off the crypto exchanges, uh, and how we could do that, what you guys need to buy in order to do that, and why you guys should be buying crypto as well. So first want to start off with why we need to take our money off the exchanges is because it's like the same thing how I think of it, like money in the bank. When you have your money in Bank of America, TD Bank, JP Morgan, or whatever bank you use, they control your money. You don't have control of it. And when they take that money, what do? They lend that money. So the money that you give in the bank, they're making money on, and they're loaning your money out. And whenever you are going through, let's say, legal problems, let's say the federal wants to freeze your account, they'll go to the bank and now you don't have that money. So this is why cryptocurrency has been like talked about a lot because it's decentralized. So the reason why I'm big on Bitcoin and not so much the other coins is because the other coins are centralized as well, which when Bitcoin is decentralized, no person owns it, no corporation owns it, is the people own it. And when you have self custody, you own it. All right. So, first things first, these are two wallets, hardware wallets that I use to store my wealth. So, once I get a certain amount of crypto from the exchange, I would tell you guys once you get to zero point zero 0.01 Bitcoin, which is around $1,000 or 1,200, I would say take it off the exchange because one day that zero point zero 0.01 Bitcoin is going to be worth a good amount of money, right? The price of everything falls to Bitcoin. The cost of everything becomes cheaper in Bitcoin over time. So let's say you buy zero point zero 0.01 Bitcoin right now for 1,200. 4 years from now, that 1,200 might be worth 10, 15, 20,000 or more, right? So that's why it's important to take your money off the exchange because nobody has access to it. It's also with crypto being fairly new over the last 15, 20 years, there are hackers. There's always going to be people that are going to be thieves that's going to try to take your wealth away, right? So we have to learn how to protect that, how to store that, because we don't want it just for ourselves. We want it for our kids and their kids. All right. So that's why these are important. Now, what this is a ledger. This is what I would suggest you guys buy first. Get accumulated or really learn how to use this because this is gonna be your safety net, right? This is gonna be where you put your money where nobody can access it but you. Now, when it comes to this, there are going to be 21 words, and that is the most important thing because you could lose this. I could throw this off my balcony right now and still have access to my money. The most important thing is the 21 words that come with this. You don't share it to nobody. Don't take no pictures of it because once they have access to those 21 words, they could put your Bitcoin that you own or your cryptocurrency that you own into their hardware wallet, and now they own your money. So if you hear the term "not your keys, not your money," that's what happens when your money is on the exchange. So yes, you could keep it there if you're fairly new, but once you get to a certain point, I really highly suggest you guys take it off the exchange and have self custody of your wealth. All right. So what I'm gonna do tonight is I can't show you on my personal account because it's gonna have like personal information. But what I could do is go to a YouTube video that taught me how to, use a ledger, take my money off the exchange. And then if you guys have any questions, maybe I can answer it right there live on the spot, or, I could basically react to the video as well. So, what's it called? Ledger live. Setup. Let's say that. Let's go. This is the one I use.
Pete Gordon invests the way he wants to invest, with no
watch this video.
and no
if you have any
hesitations.
questions, you could put it in the chat, or you could answer it live as I'm speaking or as this guy's speaking. And like I said, we'll go from there. All right. Good.
Money. Everything I'm wearing, I've had since boot camp.
This video is a Ledger Live tutorial. We're going to go through the application and how to use all of the features here. If you have any of the Ledger hardware devices, they all use Ledger Live in the same way. So we'll go through all of the different features, and I'll leave timestamps for all of those down in the description. If you are setting up a device right now, first thing is to download the Ledger Live app directly from Ledger, not an app store, because there have been fakes out there, and obviously fake isn't good. They try and drain your wallet. So we can go to ledger.com. I'll leave the link in the description to ledger.com. Then go to apps and services on the main page, Ledger Live. Go to download the app on your device directly from Ledger themselves.
So ledger.com, that's the website. As he was saying, go to the apps and services, download it from here, because the thing with crypto is people understand, like people that's been in crypto, they understand how important crypto is. So there are really scammers out there that's trying their hardest to get your money. So that's why he was saying don't use the app store, because somebody may create their own app that looks like Ledger, completely identical, but it's not really Ledger Live. And when you put your keys on that ledger, or use that app, they might be able to take your keys, which is your money.
And you'll have no issues. Also, if you're on a phone, just go to the official app on the Google or iOS stores. You can see it right here. Don't download any APKs from any dodgy websites. It's really important you get the official Ledger Live application on all your devices. If you want a step-by-step setup guide for the Nano S Plus or Nano X, I've got those linked in the description. It goes through setting up the hardware, getting your seed phrase done and everything. We're going to focus on Ledger.
So that's the video I actually want to watch. So let me go down. Let me go to his account, and we're gonna go to that video, because the video he was just showing is how to use it from your desktop. But I want to know how to use it from the actual Ledger Live. So go to Ledger. And okay, let me go to search. How to set up Ledger wallet. Boom, this is it.
Elevate your business and take your prospecting and follow-up to the next level with Mojo, a powerful.
The first tip is to make sure that your Ledger Live app is always updated. There's so many different price feeds and other bits of information that need to be updated all the time in Ledger Live, and you're not going to get the best experience unless it's updated. In any case, it's this big orange bar. I need to go ahead and do it, so I'm going to install now, relaunch, and that's going to make sure that everything's working properly for me. Updating the Ledger Live app on your computer is completely different to updating the firmware on the Ledger hardware wallet.
I don't think this one is it either.
This is a Ledger hardware wallet tutorial. I'm going to go through getting your device set up out of the box and then getting it set up with Ledger Live so you can have all of your wallet addresses there and send coins in and out of the device. Timestamps for everything in the description below. The link to the official Ledger shop as well will be down there, and some other really helpful videos that you may need, all in the description. Whether you get the Ledger Nano X or S, you should have the same things in the box, which is obviously the Ledger device, a cable that goes from the device, which is USB-C, into a USB-A, so you can plug it into your computer. Really important, when you check the box, make sure nothing is compromised here, and make sure that the recovery phrase cards that you get don't have anything written on them. If they do, that is really bad news. And so just make sure that everything is, brand new and there's nothing pre-filled in, and you should be fine. Also, just make sure that you're buying your Ledger from the right place. The official shop, they send worldwide. As I said, I'll link that in the description. Don't buy anything cheap from some random website. Make sure you're getting it from the official shop, and then you know that you shouldn't have any problems. To turn the device on initially, just hold the black button on the left. If you hold that down long enough, you'll see the Ledger logo come up. And if it's a new device, it's going to go through some options for you, and then it's going to ask you to choose a PIN. Now, this can be between 4 and 8 numbers. Once you've typed in your PIN and confirmed everything, if it is 4, then the 5th PIN number is essentially going to be like a tick. So you can scroll around and see until you see the tick. If you only have 4 numbers, press tick or correct, and then it will go through. If you have all numbers, then you'll just have to obviously put all 8 digits in there, and then at the end just confirm that, and it will go through once you've put the correct PIN in. We'll then go through to the recovery phrase. This is the most important part of the setup by a million miles. It's really, really important. Now, both the Ledger Nano X and Nano S now have 24 words as a recovery phrase. Now, this 24 words is so important because this is essentially the password to your wallet. Now, remember that crypto wallets are not stored on this device. They're stored on a blockchain. All of your coins at all times are on the blockchain, as well as your wallet. This device is just simply a hardware device that keeps a couple of important things, namely the keys, which allow you to sign transactions. The 24 words that you're going to get right now, though, allow you to reload the exact same wallet on a different device. So if you lose this particular hardware wallet, or it breaks for some reason, you can just reload the exact same wallet on a different device. And so it's actually these.
And that's why I say the 21 words is extremely important, because even if you lose your ledger, you can always recover it with those 21 key phrases that they give you.
24 words that are the most important thing. You can just cycle through all of these words and write them down on the recovery sheets that they give you, or you can write it down on your own notepad, or Ledger actually do these metal wallets where you can keep your recovery phrase as well. They're a little bit expensive. You might be able to get cheap ones on Amazon, but it's basically a metal version of a notepad, so that once your words are there, they're not going to get damaged by water, they're not going to fade away, or even get damaged by fire. So you may want to invest in one of those as well. Now, we actually need to use Ledger Live if you want to set up some what they call accounts, which is basically blockchain accounts and wallets that we can send crypto to, and that we can get our wallet address. So download the Ledger Live software on your computer. I suggest doing it on your computer before setting it up with your phone. It's just easier that way. So if you go to the official Ledger site, I'll make sure to link everything in the description to make it easy and that you're going to the right place. You'll obviously get the Ledger Live software, go through and download that for your computer. And then if you're new, now it won't look like this. It will be, start a new device, right? So it will say, have you got a Nano X or Nano S set up? You can just click yes. It's going to take you through some options there, but it will ask you basically to set up the Ledger Nano with Ledger Live. If you are brand new as well, there'll be an orange bar at the top that will ask you just to download the latest firmware for the actual hardware device. And obviously you can get updates for the Ledger Live software very regularly as well. So make sure everything's updated. It should automatically link your device and the Ledger Live right there. So once it's linked, what you can do now is go to your manager. This is how you're going to update some of the accounts that you want. So if you go to manager and just click on this, it's going to take you through to the device that you're going to have to confirm. So make sure your device is plugged in. It says allow manager on your device. You can flick around on your device to either allow or deny everything. So I'm just going to allow that by clicking both of the buttons, and that lets me into the manager. Now the manager is the place where you can download applications. So this is how it works on Ledger. Every blockchain, they call it essentially an application. You need to download the application first before getting accounts, which is going to be your wallet and your wallet address. So if you own some Bitcoin and Ethereum, you're going to want to download those first. Now, depending on what ledger that you get, I think they both have around 100 megabytes, so it should be plenty for most people. And you can see some updates that I've got updates available. So you want to make sure that all of the apps are updated, because the blockchains update over time, and so Ledger is going to want to update as well. Down towards the bottom, you can see Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain. On the right-hand side, just click install if not done already. That will install the app on your device. You can do that through Ledger Live. And then on the device itself as well, you should see some icons come up for each and every blockchain. It will be the logo of the blockchain. And once it's installed, you can install as many as you want for the blockchains that you want. Also really important is that you'll see most blockchains are what's known as Ledger Live supported. And that means you can do pretty much anything. You can send and receive coins and do what you want directly within Ledger. Some blockchains don't know. For example, Avalanche still requires what they call a third-party wallet. So there's a little bit more that you have to go through. You can download the app for sure. Actually, specifically with Avalanche, you don't need to. So essentially with Avalanche, what you can do is just use the Ethereum application and then link your Ledger Live up with MetaMask and just use Avalanche through MetaMask, but confirm everything through the Ethereum application on your Ledger. I'll get to that during the MetaMask section of this video. Most, though, are supported with Ledger Live, which means that you can send and receive coins really easily and set up wallet addresses directly within Ledger Live and on your phone as well. But just get them installed for the blockchains that you want to use. Once you've downloaded the apps on your device, we're now going to go over to accounts and get some wallet addresses and actually set up accounts. So we go over to the left-hand side and click accounts right here. You'll see that I've already got accounts set up for some cryptos that I'm holding on this device. So, Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever that you want to add, you can add that in right here. Come up to the right-hand side, click add account. Now you're going to choose the crypto asset. So choose, any account that you want to add an account for. So for example, Polkadot right here, press continue. And then on the device, you're going to have to confirm that on the device and it's going to show you the accounts. So that's a very simple process. Just click whatever one that you want to add as an account, Bitcoin, Ethereum, go through, confirm it on the device, and then that will be confirmed for you. And it will just come up here as an account very simply. Now you can actually delete these accounts as well if you want. So you can come up to Bitcoin, for example, if you right click on here and then go to edit account. On the bottom left, you can see remove from portfolio. Now, really important here is that you can remove this account from Ledger Live and it won't be seen anymore, but all of that crypto stays on the block pool of the coins in there. Once you have the account there, you want to receive some coins into that account and that wallet. So you can just click on the receive tab right here on the left-hand side, click receive. Now what you want to do is choose the crypto that you want to actually receive because you're going to get the wallet address right here. Now, in the hardware wallet, make sure that you're in the application on the hardware wallet before you press continue here. So you can do that simply by going over to the picture of the app and clicking, so clicking both buttons, and now you're in the Bitcoin app in this instance. And you're going to need to be in that before you continue through. Now we're going to press continue. It's going to load up, and in the actual hardware wallet, it's going to confirm that you're in the Bitcoin app, and it's going to read your address.
So I know he didn't show the address, but it's going to be a couple words. I'm going to just show you guys like an example. I'm going to go on my Coinbase because I know he can't show a lot due to YouTube, but I'm going to just show you guys what an address would look like. Just give me 1 second. Let's see. So this is just an example, right? I'm not sure if you guys could see. This isn't my Bitcoin or anything. So if y'all do want to send me something, you can. This is Cardano, but it's, hold on, a whole bunch of like, see if you guys can see. Oh, it's too bright. Shut down my brightness. See, you see all these words? This is how you guys will be receiving. So like if you go on Coinbase and you go to transfer and you go to receive crypto, you will copy this address, right? And you will send it to somebody. So you'll like text it to them. And now when they're sending you crypto, the same thing, they're going to send the crypto. They're going to take that wallet, that address, put it into their, if it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and then they're going to just send it to you through those words. All right. So that's why it's important to know how to transfer, to know how to receive cryptocurrency, and then know how to store. Now, the 21 words, I didn't write them down on this, right? But it's going to be on a sheet like this. So you're going to write these 21 words down, but you want to be able to like really protect the 21 words that you get from your ledger. So it's going to come on your ledger or your Descent wallet, right? The 21 words, they're going to pop up once you turn on the screen. So just like how you see ledger right there. Hold on. It will pop up with 21 words. You write these words down, but you make sure you don't give them to nobody. All right. Honestly, I think at least what I think y'all should do is obviously write them down and memorize them. And once you memorize them, delete, like throw this out, rip it apart. It's kind of risky because you're gonna have to remember it for life. But if anybody gets a hold of your 21 words, they control your money now. They have your keys. They could put those 21 words into their own wallet, and now they own your Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. I don't say this to scare you. I say this as like it's very important. With great, with great things comes great responsibility, right? So we have to be responsible with those words. So Ledger and Descent. I'll put the link in the academy after the call to both of these, but they're extremely important to buy, y'all, because what you want to do, at least for me, like I always think kind of years ahead. So I got a couple of these. I put like $500, $1,000 in one of these, right? And it how I think of it is like this is for my kids, right? Or this is for my grandkids. Like you put 1,000, you hold it, and you hold that for 10, 20 years. Imagine what that 1,000 is going to be. The people that bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, even $10 worth, 20, $100 worth, they're now multi-millionaires just from holding the asset. So a lot of this stuff is just an asset to hold. And throughout time, it's going to continue going up. But you need a good way to store it. And they have like they say don't leave it in the bank either. I mean, I don't even trust banks, right? You could put it in the safety deposit box, but if somebody gets a hold of that, they have control of it. You could also put it in the safe. I would say do that, but even with that, if something happens inside the crib or they take the safe, now they have control of it. So that's why I say, try your best to memorize it as much as possible, but do not take any pictures of it. Do not give it to anybody. Do not give it to any family members, right? Because at any point, people switch up all the time. At any point, they could take control of your money. All right. So if y'all have any questions, y'all could put that in the chat. Where should we store the? Yeah. So honestly, I'm still trying to learn that myself on where the best place to store it. I know they have a thing called multi-sig. I'm still learning that now, so I can't really talk too much on it until I fully learn it to teach you guys. But this is basically keeping it on a digital surface where you don't have 21 words, but I don't really even know how to explain it to the best of my ability yet. But that's where you want to have your money. All right. So start off with the wallets. And as you gain more money, you get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 into it. You want to learn multi-sig as well, which it takes like 4 different passcodes or 4 different ways to reach that money. All right. So on top of that, obviously you guys know, like I love Bitcoin. Made great returns from it just this year itself. I was buying Ethereum, XRP as well. I do think those are going to go up, but when I think of Bitcoin, it overprices everything. Like I think of it like this: why would I want? If I could have one player, right? If I had to pick one player out of the whole world, dead or alive, I'm picking Michael Jordan, right? People that get XRP, Ethereum, and all the other stuff, why would I get, Stephen Curry, Kyrie, whoever else, if I could have Michael Jordan on my team? So that's how I think of Bitcoin. You want to get as much as Michael Jordan as possible, because over time, it prices out everything. I showed you guys before, and I'm going to show it again. A lot of times you could also go to the Discord channel and go to crypto. And if you scroll up, I have a couple things that, will let you know that you're still early. Think of total global assets. You got money, fiat currencies. This is, the US dollar, the peso, the Japanese yen, the Iraqi dinar, all the different currencies. You got bonds, right, where people put their money to get a return from the government. You got real estate. You got equities. You got arts, cars, collectibles, gold. And then you got Bitcoin. So a lot of times we may think that we're late because Bitcoin's at 112,000. But truthfully, we're early because Bitcoin is, to me, better than almost all of these. You know why? Because all of these are priced in the US dollar. Bitcoin is money itself. It's the strongest form of money that we ever had. And it's digital. We could, travel. I could travel with $100 million in this ledger across the world. Imagine you was traveling with $100 million in gold or $100 million worth of gold. You wouldn't be able to. They'll stop you at the airports. You get what I'm saying? Real estate. You got to deal with tenants, termites, toilets. Just tenants alone is a headache. So real estate, I love real estate. Real estate made me good money. But with real estate, it's a job, right? It's not really something you just hold and don't got to worry about. That's another reason why I like Bitcoin. It's boring. Once you buy it, you don't have to pay no taxes on it right away. Only time you got to pay taxes on it is if you sell it, if you capital gains tax. But besides that, I don't have to spend taxes on it each year. All I do is buy it and hold it. All right. Now, this is just one example, but I really, like I said, if you guys just want to learn more about it, just go to this crypto channel in the academy. Look at the post that we posted. So Bitcoin reaches an all-time high at 109,000. We posted this earlier this year. Watch by the end of this year what price Bitcoin is going to be, Think of the stimulus check, 2020. If we were to put that money in Bitcoin, we'll have $18,000. So imagine if you put 10,000 into Bitcoin. You get what I'm saying? You will have over $100,000, y'all. So just keep that in mind. And like I told you guys, I like to break Bitcoin down in Satoshi's term, because a lot of us, we don't have the money to buy a whole Bitcoin. So we may feel like we're too late, but no, we are extremely early, because $1 is going to give us 800 Satoshis. Before, it was 985. Now, $1 will get us probably 890 Satoshis. 10 years ago, $1 would get you 412 Satoshis. So Bitcoin is just fractions, or Satoshis are just fractions of Bitcoin. Just like 100 pennies is $1, 100 million Satoshis is one Bitcoin. So when you break it down like that, you want to get as many Satoshis as possible. Like I tell you guys, I don't measure my net worth in US dollar no more. And you know why? It's because they print US dollars. There's no proof of work to make US dollars. US dollars is trash. And yes, we still use it today, for exchange of goods and services and stuff, to pay rent, to buy food, which makes it good. But in terms of its value, it's trash, because everything is pricing everything up because they're printing so much. Now with Bitcoin, it takes proof of work. People have to mine Bitcoin. People need, in order to mine Bitcoin, you need multiple computers, you need a lot of energy. Your light bill is going to be worth thousands of dollars because the reward for mining it. So in order to get Bitcoin, it takes energy to create it. To get US dollar, I mean, yes, we have to work for US dollar, but for them to create it, it takes no energy. So you want to measure your net worth, at least myself, in something that takes time, energy, focus. You get what I'm saying? And then on top of that, it's scarce. You can't make any more than 21 million Bitcoin or 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. So you think of it like that. If you had the chance to buy Jordans, those limited Jordans back in the day when they only created like, let's say 100 of those, right? Those was going for way more because there was only a limited supply. That's the same thing with Satoshis and Bitcoin. It's only a limited supply. So you want as much as possible because you know the value of something that is scarce, that they can't, that is extremely valuable because there's a limited supply of it. The value of it is extremely higher because of that, on top of everything else that it does. Now, there's one website that I actually wanted to go on, because I know I haven't went on it in a while. And I know we have a lot of new people as well. This was another thing with real estate. So let's say you guys bought a house recently or within the last 10 years, right? Let's say in 2026, you bought a house. You put 300,000 or 288. At that time, it took 664 Bitcoin to buy that $280,000 house. Now, in 4 years, that house went up, 20, 40,000, 60,000, right? But guess what? In terms of Bitcoin, it went down because now it takes less Bitcoin to buy that 2020 or that house in 2020. Now, let's say 2024, 4 years later, the house goes up 100,000. And you thinking you got some money, like I got some net worth now, I got some equity, right? But guess what? In terms of Bitcoin, you was actually losing money because now it only takes 6 Bitcoin to buy that house. And guess what now? It only takes 4 Bitcoin to buy that house. So imagine 4 years from now, it's only going to take a fraction of 1 Bitcoin to buy a house. When Bitcoin becomes $1 million, that means 0.1 Bitcoin is $100,000. That means 0.4 Bitcoin could buy you that $400,000 house. So when you guys think of it like that, this is why I don't have that much US dollars. I'm like US dollar, I'm broke. I'm not scared to say it. In US dollar terms, I am broke. I don't hold my money in US dollar no more. This is why I buy crypto, because the price of it, the price of everything falls to Bitcoin. And guess what? Bitcoin is money, from what I told you guys before. So with real estate and stocks, you're pricing it based off of the US dollar price, which is falling to the Bitcoin price. All right. This is why I emphasize on Bitcoin so much, because a lot of people think of like Bitcoin as an asset. Like, yes, it's an asset because, it's not a liability. It goes up, but it's bigger than an asset. It's actual money. It's the best form of money that was ever created. So when you think of it like that, that means it could possibly take over the monetary system, just like how the internet took over online, just like how Apple took over phones. Like, we're in the beginning stages of this monetary system taking over the global monetary system. And guess what? We could get it today for 116,000. This is an extreme discount, right? And another thing I want you guys to think about is, let's say Bitcoin goes down to 20,000, right? And let's say you got one Bitcoin at 116,000. You may be thinking that you're losing money because the US dollar price went down. But guess what? Your Bitcoin doesn't go down. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. So if you own one Bitcoin, if you bought one Bitcoin today and Bitcoin drops to $20,000, right? The US dollar price, yes, the US dollar price went down, but your Bitcoin supply did not go down. One Bitcoin will still be one Bitcoin. So I need you guys to think like that. I don't even care about the US dollar price now, regardless if it goes down or up, because how many Bitcoin I have is how much I'm going to have. Now, when Bitcoin is the monetary system, that's when it's really going to matter. Now, I'm not saying it don't matter when it goes down or up, but what I'm saying is one Bitcoin will always be one Bitcoin, 100 million Satoshis. So honestly, when Bitcoin goes down, it's a blessing to me, because that means I could buy more with that one US dollar I have in my pocket. I could buy more Satoshis with that. Now, when Bitcoin's price go up, it's getting closer to where $1 equals one Satoshi. So either way, when Bitcoin goes down, we're winning. When Bitcoin goes up, we're winning. Because when it goes down, we could buy more. When it goes up, we're getting closer for that $1 equaling one Satoshi. All right. So I like to do this because, I feel like humans, we're very visual. We like to compare things. We like to see the numbers. We like to see the facts. So let's say, it goes back to 2017, right? Let's say, we all been working since 2017. So let's say we put $1,000, right? Let's say we put $1,000 a month into Bitcoin for how many months would that be? 12, 24. Let me not do that math. We would just, boom, think of that. Think of that. From 2017 to 2025, when we put $1,000 a month, which is $12,000 a year, right? That means we would have spent in that 5, 6, 7, 8 years, we'd have spent 93,000, but we would have 754,000, and we would have 6.4 Bitcoin. The Bitcoin, think of it like this: when Bitcoin goes up, the US dollar is going to go up, but 6 Bitcoin is 600 million Satoshis. So when $1 equals one Satoshi, just off of this alone, just off of $93,000, that means you made $600 million. Now, it might sound crazy right now because we're extremely early, but with a small amount of money, y'all, like, everybody could become rich in the future if they start buying Bitcoin now. If they start putting parts of their paycheck into Bitcoin now, parts of every land deal you close in the next 4 years, if you put in Bitcoin now, 20 years from now, 15 years from now, 10 years from now, you will be wealthy, because you started extremely early. So let's do another thing. Let's say you put in a one-time purchase of $1,000 in 2017. So that would give you 6,000, which is still a 500% return. Now, that's not a crazy, 6,000, but you would still have 0.05 Bitcoin. Remember what I told you guys, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 0.04 Bitcoin might be able, or when Bitcoin reaches $1 million, right? 0.5 Bitcoin would be 500. 0.05 would be 50,000. So you got to think of it in that terms too. All right. Now let's say you did bi-weekly, a $200,000 investment of you putting money in weekly, right? Now, we probably won't have 1,000. I mean, some of us might have 500 a week to put 1,000 in a week, but just think of that. You will have 13 Bitcoin if you start buying now. And this is called dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging is when you put a certain amount a daily basis, a weekly basis, or a monthly basis. So like myself, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. When I get a deal and I get a closing, I put majority of that in Bitcoin now. And the reason why I do that is because over the last, since 2021, since I've been buying crypto, I've been seeing the returns that, at first I was buying Ethereum, then I started buying other coins like Matic, XRP, but I made good returns on those. Now that I've been buying Bitcoin, I've been making great returns on that, right? And what I'm saying is, if you start doing that now, right? If you start dollar cost averaging now, eventually that's going to make you 6 figures a year. Eventually, that's going to make you 7 figures a year. Now, it might not happen overnight. It took me, I believe I made my first 6 figures in crypto 2023, right? 2024 did the same. And already at 2025, I'm at that point as well. But it's growing each year, right? So it's not like it's something where it grows, like, how they say compound interest is like the eighth wonder of the world. Like once you get that momentum going, it grows more and more each year. So if you start buying, like what I do, I buy at least $20 a day of Bitcoin every single day, regardless if it goes down or up. And then when I get like a closing from a land deal, or I get money in anything else I'm doing, I put it straight into Bitcoin. And the reason why I do that is because I want, as early as possible, instead of it being 6 figures a year, I want it to get to 7 figures a year. So the more money that I put into it while it's at 116, while I was buying, over these past couple months, it's just going to go higher. So if you guys start putting $20, $30, $40 a day, however much you could do, $5, I even tell you guys $1 a day is going to eventually be something great in the long term. All right. So let's go on a weekly basis. If you guys were able to put 1,000 a week, I guess most of us probably won't be able to do that. But if you were able to do that, or for a $405,000 investment, you have $3 million. $3 million. So like, I like to say it like this too. If you're older, right? I know we can't compare now to 2030, but let's say, you had a 401k, and let's say you had $100,000, right? In your 401k for your retirement. Is this 100,000? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, boom. And let's say at 2017, you just learned about Bitcoin and you was like, you know what? I'm not going to do the 401k in the S&P 500 because that's what they're, buying with my 401k. I want to put that money into Bitcoin because I think they just started to allow that too. I'm not sure if it's a state by state basis, but I know that you could put or don't quote me on it, but I believe that you could take your 401k and invest in Bitcoin ETF with that, right? So let's say you would have did that. Boom. That 100,000 would be 5 Bitcoin right now, and would be $600,000. And mind you, this is one purchase. So imagine if you put that $100,000 in, and you were still buying $20 a day, $20 a day, $20 a day. I wish they had daily, so I could show you guys how much like $20 or $15 or $10 a day could really do. But you would have $600,000 just off of that $100,000 investment. You have a $500% return on investment. Like, that's crazy. The S&P 500 in 8 years is probably going to give you 15, 20, 15, 30, 45, 60. It's probably going to give you 120% return in 8 years on average. So the longer we keep our money in there, like, I'm not even trying to convince y'all now, if y'all start doing your research, because as you do your research, you gain more conviction. As you gain more conviction, you don't second guess yourself, right? Like, now I live my life on the Bitcoin standard. Like, my day-to-day life, I live my life on the Bitcoin standard. And that has helped me, and my businesses. You know why? Because the cost of things get cheaper. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, my rent is $2,300 a month right now, right? Bitcoin is up 50% of the year, just as of today. It could still go up another 50, 60% in the next 3 months. Because I know you guys remember what happened last year, November. If you was in the academy last year, November, all crypto went up in November, shot up. And it's projecting the same thing to happen this year. So if let's say Bitcoin goes up to 90% this year, that means I live 90% cheaper. Let's do that math real quick. Let me do Chat GPT. Okay, my rent is 2,300. Let me see how I want to word this. My rent is 2,300, and I live on the Bitcoin standard. Should I say that? Bitcoin standard. Oh no, I'm not gonna say that. And Bitcoin goes up or went up. Let me see. Bitcoin. I'm just speaking in hypotheticals because that's what I'm projecting it to go up at least another 40%. Usually in November, from my experience of being in the crypto space, November, usually these cryptocurrencies go up 40% in November. I don't know why, but just over my last 4 years, that's what I noticed. So it's already up 50%. Let's say October, November, December, and this is me being conservative, I think it's going to go up at least another 40%. So let's say Bitcoin goes up 90% this year, and Bitcoin went up 90% this year. How much did I spend on rent living on the Bitcoin standard? In terms of Bitcoin, so answer, so assuming you paid 20, So that's 20. So in US dollar term, I'm spending 27,600 in rent for the year. Now, Bitcoin. Okay, let's find out how much Bitcoin you have to need to start via the cover. For now, Bitcoin, you need to start the year. Boom, boom, boom. So damn near half. So, and mind you, each month may be different because some months it goes up, some months go down. You don't pay rent all at the end. So let's say, 14,000, right? While everybody in my building that's paying, and I probably got one of the cheaper units in the building because I actually got lucky with this one. So while everybody's paying, let's say 30,000 and up, I'm only paying 14,000 to live in a high rise, living on the Bitcoin standard. Now you do that year by year, it's actually helping me to save more money, to invest in more things, to take more risk in business, to travel more, things like that. And this is just in rent. Do this with groceries. You could do this with, buying, going out to eat. You could do this with buying clothes. You could do this with, your car payment. Just life is cheaper living on the Bitcoin standard. So this is why I'm trying to get you guys to adopt this as well, because now think of that 2,700, let's say, 27,000, let's say 30,000. You do that another year, that's 60,000. You do that another year, that's 90,000. In three years, somebody that's living in my unit is paying $90,000 in rent, while I'm probably paying 14. You do that, that's 28. You do that, that's 40 something. Like, I'm living way cheaper over years of time than somebody else that's just holding US dollar. And now with that money that I'm saving, right? Because in US dollar, I would be spending somewhere around 90,000. In Bitcoin standard, I'm spending somewhere around 45,000, give or take, right? That 50,000 that I'm saving, living on the Bitcoin standard, I could start up another business. I could put that in investments. I could travel with my family. So this is why I'm telling you guys, I need y'all to start living on the Bitcoin standard. Now, it is scary at first, right? When I was taking my money out the bank and buying Bitcoin, the bank calling me like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Asking me about investments. What am I doing? Like, I'm taking my money and I'm putting it where I could grow it, because y'all taking my money. Y'all scamming me. US dollar is a scam. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. I'm gonna answer some questions. Said, no, that's facts. My man Chris Johnson talks about the same scenario. You're definitely hit, bro. You already know every day, regardless of a substantial increase too. For sure. So that's honestly, Chris was one of the first persons that I learned about buying Bitcoin. Because at the time, like I was saying, I was buying Ethereum. 2021, 2022, I was buying Ethereum. I was closing almost a deal a day. I was making like damn near 10,000, 20, 30 a week at that time. And I'll take 10% of that, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, putting that into Ethereum. I got all the receipts and everything. If I was doing that for Bitcoin, y'all, in 2021, let's just say, let's go back to the calculator. Let's go to the calculator. Let's go to the calculator. Right? Let's say on a weekly basis, I was probably putting around 4,000 to 5,000 into Ethereum. So let's say, let's be conservative. Let's say 3,000. right? Because it wasn't every week. I'm not gonna say every single week I was killing, but for the most part in 2021, 2022, it would be some days I closed 3 deals. It'll be a deal where it's like 5,000, an $8,000 deal, and then a $10,000 deal. And then the next week I have a 4K deal, a 10K deal, and a 5K deal. But let's just be conservative. Let's say 3,000, right? From 2021 to 2025, if I was buying Bitcoin on a weekly basis. Come on. And that's just in 4 years. Most people, it takes to get 1.8 million, that takes people 40, 50, 60 years. The average millionaire is like 55 years old. So when you think of it in that terms, the Bitcoin is doing our heavy lifting. Yes, we putting in work. Yes, I'm not saying just buy Bitcoin and think that that's going to be the only way. No, you got to add value to this world by, flipping land, helping people, doing whatever you got to do to make more money. But you want to put that money where it's going to grow, not decrease. So putting that money into Bitcoin would have got me 1.8 million off rip. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I just say that. And like I said, that's being conservative at 3,000. I was putting $1,000 a day, damn near, 7 days a week. So just think of that. But yeah. So every day regardless, yes, sir. That's crazy. I was paying $2,300 for 2 Birmingham in Texas, and you in the high rise. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. I just moved into this unit. My last unit, this is what happens when you make money. You make bad decisions, right? I was paying $3,800 a month the last 2.5 years on rent. I was in a 2-bedroom apartment, a couple floors above this unit I'm in now. And I was paying $3,800. So I was wild. But, I was making great money. Or, still making great money, but I was making a great load of money and it didn't affect me at all, And that's something, a lot of times too, I feel like, of course we make financial mistakes, but I also make great financial decisions too, by investing early. I didn't wait until I was 2-3 years into a business to start investing money. I started investing money right away. Like soon I started making some real money, I started investing. Like, cause my dad, a little backstory, my dad, he had a successful business growing up. Like I never needed up until high school. In high school, my dad's business went down. But the reason why my dad's business went down is because he didn't invest. He just held US dollar. And he owed a good amount in taxes because he didn't learn the taxes game or how to not pay as much in taxes, right? And that bit him in the butt. And he lost his business. And that's when like life for me. Because mind you, I'm the only child, mom and dad's side. They don't have no other kids. So I was getting whatever I want. My dad was, from what he told me, and I believe him because all my friends, I'll give you guys a story. My friends would come over my house on the weekends. Mind you, I had like the attic. My dad had a house. He didn't have like a wife or anything. My mom and dad broke up when I was like 7 years old. So he had like a big house to himself. So over the weekend, my friends, my cousins, everybody would come over. My dad, like when every Jordan come out, it would probably be like 6 to 12 of us in my crib. If he bought me a pair of Jordans, he bought everybody else a pair of Jordans too. And I had every Jordans that I wanted. So my friends and my cousins that came over, they had two. It was like my dad is, I don't feel like I was the only child. I felt like I had multiple brothers because every weekend they would come over and we'll have a great time. My dad would take us out to eat, buy us whatever we want, and learning from his mistakes, because that was a great time. I had a great childhood, but he didn't save for a rainy day. That money came in and that money came out. He, from what he told me, he was making around, $4,000 to $5,000 a week, in his business. So that money would come in and that money would come out. And that's what I learned. I was like, I have to invest my money as soon as I start making money. I can't wait until I see a certain amount, right? Or, I have to start investing as fast as possible because I don't want my money to run out. We could only work so hard, right? We could only put in so many hours on Mojo Dialer. We could only put so much hours on working a job, feeding ourselves, feeding kids, feeding a wife, feeding a husband, whoever, right? So we have to put that money to work, because if that money is not working, it's working you. So that's kind of what I learned from that situation. So that's why I was like, okay, I knew at an early age, soon I get money, because in high school, that's when I needed a job. I didn't need a job until high school. Ninth grade is when I started like, oh snap, I need a job. I need to find a way to get money, So that taught me that, okay, yes, you can make money, but when you make money, it's also easy to lose it if you're not smart with it, if you're not a good steward of it. So that's why I have to start investing. And that's why I'm like big on learning this stuff, because regardless if you got money or not, you still should know what you're working for. You're working for the US dollar. You should know everything about the US dollar, because you're working your life. You're taking time away from your kids. You're taking time away from your life to work for it. And you don't even know what you're working for. So as I'm learning about that, learning about investments, this is how I'm getting into, these different avenues. So basically buy Bitcoin as an increase in value, then spend the excess to pay for normal living expenses. Yes, that's the Bitcoin standard. You spend the weaker currency, which is the US dollar, and you hoard the strong currency, which is Bitcoin. You only spend Bitcoin when you have to pay your bills, your things like that, right? When you have to pay your debt from the US dollar. But you could get it to the point where you borrow against your Bitcoin once you get to a certain point. So you never have to spend your Bitcoin. And this is a big tip that I'm giving y'all right now. Y'all might have to pay me some money. I might have to drop my Cash App. But what I kind of do now is, because once you get to a certain Bitcoin, right, you spend the US dollar with credit. You never use debit. None of us should ever, 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 ever use debit. If I hear you use debit, I'm slapping you. Never use a debit card, right? Use your credit card, and then, or at least this is what I do. I can't speak for anybody else because we're all in different financial situations. But you spend in credit, and then when you're buying off that credit, you can use Bitcoin. But if you should never sell your Bitcoin technically. You could borrow against your Bitcoin by taking out loans, right? Low interest rates loans, and pay that credit off. And with the increase of Bitcoin, with the profit that you get from Bitcoin, you now pay that loan off, because like, let's say you take out a $10,000 loan, for example, right? Of US dollar for your Bitcoin collateral. Now, if Bitcoin goes up, 50% this year, that means that 10,000, let's say, is, I don't want to even do the math. Let's say, what's 50% of 10,000? Let me just do the math real quick on my calculator instead of Chat GPT. 0.50%. That's 5,000. So you just gained 15,000, and now you know that 10,000 is paid off, and you pocket that 5,000 basically. So basically, where's that? Boom. So basically, your loan is paid off of the Bitcoin's percentages. So this is how a lot of people do it on a macro scale. This is how Michael Saylor is able to go from a $400 million company into a $40 billion company because he takes on debt. This is how people got really rich off of real estate. They take on a lot of debt in real estate and they pay it off based off of like the percentages real estate goes up a year. But with Bitcoin, it goes up way more. So you could take out, there's risk to everything, but you could take out more because of the percentages, and your percentages will pay back that loan and the interest. If you got, a low interest is always better. There are credit cards that give you, depending on your credit, that will give you 1 year interest, 0% interest for 1 year. And when you do that, you basically paying off that with the percentage that you get from Bitcoin, and you pocket the rest or keep it in Bitcoin so it could continue to grow. And you repeat that cycle. And that's how a lot of people get rich without a lot of these companies become extra rich without having to work or sell their products that they do. I'm kind of doing this on a micro scale right now. I believe Bitcoin in the next couple months is going to go up a lot more percent. So I took out a small loan and bought more Bitcoin with that loan because I know the percentages is going to go up. And with that percentage, I'm going to pay that loan off soon. It goes up that percentage, or I could keep it because it's for a year. And now with that rest of that, I'm going to just keep it in Bitcoin so I can make more money on top of the money that I'm making from flipping land, helping you guys out, and put that all into Bitcoin because I want as much Bitcoin as possible. As you guys see with the price of everything, it took 10 years ago or 8 years ago, it took 600 Bitcoin to buy one house. Now today it takes 4 Bitcoin to buy a house. 4 years from now, it's going to take 0.01 or 0.02 Bitcoin to buy a house. So if I could get a loan for 0.4 Bitcoin right now, that means I'm literally buying 2 houses for the future. This is at least how my mind works. Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask a real quick question?
Yeah.
Okay. I know you're talking about with the loans to buy Bitcoin. Okay. What if I just want to get your perspective on this? What if we take a loan outright at a good percentage rate and use that to put into a brokerage account to also get the margin, right? Because that's also like a second loan, right? And we bought Bitcoin. What is your take on that? Because that's
What do
something I've
you,
been thinking about.
when you say you put in a brokerage account, what are you buying stocks with that?
No, to purchase Bitcoin as well. So I'm using the loan money to put into the brokerage account. And so once that's there, that's considered as cash, right?
So
But
let's change brokerage. Are you taking that money and buying more Bitcoin from an exchange? That's what you're saying.
so say for instance, like Robinhood,
Okay. You could buy
or
Bitcoin
would that
on.
right? So would that be something like would that be something that would make sense? Is what I'm trying to say.
So
If you took out the loan first
I'm just trying to
and then
make
use
sense
the
of what you're
margin.
saying. So let's say I loaned you, let's say 10,000, right? And
Right.
then you took
Mm-hmm.
that 10,000, put it into Robinhood. Are you saying
Mm-hmm.
Robinhood would give you money from that 10,000?
Right, on margin. Yep.
Okay. I mean, I have to say this is not financial
Mhm.
advice.
Right, right, right. I get it. I get it.
But shit, I mean, it depends on how. I don't know what your bills. Everybody's situation is different, right? I don't know what your bills is like. I don't know what you have to take care of on a month to month basis. But
Mm-hmm.
how I see it is, like I told you, the fourth quarter of this year, October, November, December, is usually the best gains, percentage gains in cryptocurrency, from what I noticed. And we're in the
Right.
coin bull cycle right now. So the
And you
reason
know
why
what?
I'm personally doing it is because I know, one, I don't need that money. Like the money that I loaned, I could pay that back, right?
Right.
So, and they have collateral. That's another thing. You have to have money to take out a loan, at least if
Right.
it's with an exchange. I did it straight from an exchange. So I didn't use like credit or anything like that. So they don't care
Okay, got
about credit. They just, if you got the money, or I think double, I had to I had to give up. I had to put up, I'm not gonna say give up. I had to put up double the amount that I loaned. But like I told you, I believe that it's gonna go up. So I took that money. I'm taking that risk because now I'm going to put that loan, instead of buying Gucci or buying this, buying that, I'm gonna put that in Bitcoin so it could double, so it could increase. And then when it
it. Hmm.
increases, pay that loan off. And now I just made more Bitcoin off of money that I didn't have to necessarily work for, but I just
Right.
used my money to create. So I could just give you based off of my scenario. I can't say right or wrong, because, or you should do it or you shouldn't, because I don't know your scenario. You get what I'm saying? You still there? All right, I'm gonna answer more questions, but I hope that answers your question. Uh, what made you go all in Ethereum at that time? So what made me go in Ethereum was Bitcoin was number one, right? My lights is messed up. So Bitcoin was like, at that time, let's say Bitcoin was $10,000. At $10,000, everybody thought Bitcoin's price was too high. Just like how we think it's too high at 112,000, when it was 100, I mean, when it was 10,000, everybody was like, oh, it's too high, it's gonna go down. Ethereum at the time was probably like $600 or $500. So I'm like, why would I buy Bitcoin if I can't even get a whole? I probably could have gotten a whole Bitcoin at that time, or multiple Bitcoins at that time. But I was just thinking, why would I buy a Bitcoin, or why would I buy fractions of Bitcoin if I could put $1,000 and get multiple Ethereum? So at that time, I had like hundreds of Ethereum, thinking that Ethereum was gonna go like the same price as Bitcoin, but it never did. So that's why eventually, when Ethereum made me good enough profit, and Solana made me good profit too, I converted that into Bitcoin, and that helped me buy, a couple Bitcoin. I heard you talk about your first million, but was it from land only or with adding Bitcoin? My first mill came from, let me think. So 2021, 2022, it came from accumulation of things, having crypto land and flipping land. And then at 2022, the middle of 2022, that's when I really started like teaching it. Because when I first started teaching land, I didn't teach it like how you guys see it today. I taught it like one-on-one consultation calls. I was charging 300 for 30-minute calls. That's how I was teaching it. I didn't have a course. I didn't have a group. I didn't have none of that. The group came about once I started teaching people on these calls and they started getting success. I'm like, shit, like, why don't we all come together and, just teach it, create a platform? And that's how that happened. So, like, we all just came together. I mean, I kind of started it. That's why it was called EDB Academy. But technically, it was multiple of us in one. And we all kind of like started teaching it and made good money in a group of us, from doing it like that. That's a good question, though. Yeah.
Hey, Eli, just to chime in, when you were saying about the fourth quarter, I want to ask you, have you heard about what President Trump was saying too about not to pay attention to the first and second quarter of this year, but pay most attention to the third and fourth quarter of this year. And in regards to that, with him implementing so many things uh about cryptocurrency in the earlier parts of the year. So he's saying basically like this third quarter and fourth quarter, like we should see more things or more increases in regards to crypto too, which if we're paying attention to the time frame, the third quarter we seen Bitcoin do that increase which was all-time high, I believe, to 123, and then a pullback. So what I'm asking is, have you been paying attention to that too?
Yeah. So another thing, and these are good questions, great questions, by the way. Another thing, how I think of it is, it always goes past its all-time high. So let's say Bitcoin's all-time high was 125,000, and now it's 116,000. This lets me know I need to be buying more, because eventually it's going to go past that. And I believe in October or November, it's going to go past that and it's going to shoot up. We're in a bull run cycle. So they're saying that it's probably not going to be no more like 4-year cycles of Bitcoin, like how it was previously. So in each 4-year cycle, the last year or in 4-year cycles, Bitcoin goes up. And the last year of that cycle, it shoots up. So right now, we're in that last year of that cycle. So they're projecting it to go up tremendously these next 3 months, October, November, December. And that's how I feel too, because it's really been consolidating a lot this year. I mean, it did go up, it did go past all-time highs, but in terms of like a crazy growth, it didn't do that yet. And I believe that's going to happen. And then it always goes past the all-time high. So when you have a chance to buy Bitcoin under an all-time high, you should be buying like crazy. And that's why I buy like $20, $25 a day. Because no, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not closing a deal a day, but I still got money where I could put in at least $25. I could tell myself, okay, I'm not going to get that Starbucks coffee today, and I'm going to prepare for my future, because every dollar I put in, that's giving me 890 Satoshis. So $2, 1,600, $3, 30 something hundred. Like, that's how I think. Satoshis one day in the future is going to be dollars. So if I could get 25,000 Satoshis a day, I'm becoming my own bank for my future self and my future generations. And we all have that same opportunity. So a lot of people think that they're late 116, but no, like I said, I know we talked about the Iraqi dinar, right? Earlier this year, and that might possibly still happen. But what got us so excited about the Iraqi dinar? The fact that $1 will get you 1,300 of their money in Iraq. Well, I can't guarantee the Iraqi dinar. I mean, I will hope that that happens, and that still might likely happen. But I could guarantee, Bitcoin $1 is going to equal one Satoshi one day. Because remember what I showed you guys in the last form, $1 gave you 400,000 Satoshis 10 years ago. So imagine if you was getting in at that time where you could buy $1 million Satoshis for $3. Like $3 now only gets you 2,000 Satoshis. So things are changing fast. Like just the fact that $1 could get us under 1,000 Satoshis in 2025 is crazy to me, because a couple of years ago it was giving you 100,000, 1,000,000 Satoshis, $1. So it's happening fast where that $1 and one Satoshi is coming together faster than we think. So that's why it's important that we buy every single day. So I tell you guys, even $1 a day, if you could get 800 Satoshis, you're way faster, or you're moving way faster than somebody that's not doing that. Even if somebody is killing it right now in the land space, drop shipping, whatever, just because you're making money now, don't mean you're gonna have money later. Think of all the NBA, NFL players that were super rich at one point in their life, and then 5-10 years from later, they're broke. It's the same thing. Like, I know people personally in this land space that got started in 2021 and was making six figures a year up until probably 2023. And now in 2025, they broke. Like, I know people personally. I ain't gonna say no names, but I know people personally. So that's life, but we have that opportunity to stop that. And that's with Bitcoin. Bitcoin stops all of that. Even if y'all don't even get a land deal, if y'all don't make no money from land, to me, this is more important than the land, because you could work a 9-to-5 job and start buying $30 of Bitcoin a day. And in the next 5 to 10 years, you could be a multi-millionaire just by buying on a dollar cost averaging it, regardless if it goes down or up. You could be, well off. I'm not gonna say multi-millionaire. Let me correct that. You could be well off just with that amount. So imagine once you start making some good money, because everything takes time, right? So like with business, whenever you start a business, they say, and I think Magic Johnson said this at InvestFest, you should give yourself a 3-year period. If you're gonna start a business, give yourself 3 years. Say you're going all in for 3 years. And within that 3 years, now you make the choice if you want to continue doing it or not. But 3 years gives you enough time to become great at something or become good at something. So you do that 3 years and focusing on the business while you're buying Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is gonna help you stay in business longer. And that's all what I'm really trying to tell you guys, because the cost of everything goes down. So now you have a higher purchasing power. So now you could stay in business longer. Now I have more money. Remember what I said with my rent. In 3 years, if I stay at that same rent at 2,300 down that I am right now, that's 27,000, let's say 30,000 a year. In 3 years, that would be $90,000 in the US dollar terms. In Bitcoin, that 3 years, that is only around 40 something thousand. So that 50,000 I just saved from buying Bitcoin, I could put it into my business. I could put it into my investment. I could keep it in Bitcoin. You get what I'm saying? And that's why it's important that we want the highest purchasing power. Right before this call, my boy from New York, he just got married, or he's in the process of getting married. Him and his wife, they're thinking about buying a house, a cheap house in New York, 200,000, probably not the best neighborhood. And he's like, yo, bro, you think I should do it? Not to give all his info, but he just came across a lot of money too. So he's like, I'm trying to give him the option. I'm telling him to weigh his options. Yes, you could get the house, and yes, you pay your mortgage, you get some equity over time. But what if you do this? What if you stay where you're at, paying your rent? Because the difference between rent and, buying the house is, with a house, usually you have to put a down payment, or you're buying the house outright, or so you're taking a good chunk of money and putting it into that. So I'm like, stay in your rent or whatever you're doing, your situation, and put that money, that 200,000, into Bitcoin. And 4 or 5 years later, you'll be able to buy multiple houses, compared to if you buy that house and 4 or 5 years later, when you look to sell that house or move to a better neighborhood, you could probably just buy one house for your house. But if you buy 2 Bitcoin, 4 or 5 years later, you'll probably be able to buy 10 houses, right? So it's just making the better financial decision. And that's why Bitcoin is. And to me, Bitcoin is the savings account. I know, like I said, Chris Johnson talks about this all the time too. It's not really an investment to me anymore. It's somewhere where I want to put my money, or the money I work for, and I want that money to grow at a fast rate. That's what our savings account is supposed to do. It's not supposed to be money that is just there and is decreasing over time, and we're getting it whenever we need it. No, that money is supposed to be increasing, and whenever we do need it, yes, we could sell it, or we could borrow against it, what the rich people do, and pay for or do whatever we got to do, and use that as collateral. Because eventually banks are going to get on, and the US is already getting on. As Trump being president, I don't like Trump, right? I don't like Trump. I got to say this. But with him embracing cryptocurrency and embracing Bitcoin, it's probably the best thing for the USA, because the dollar is falling. They all know it, and a lot of us are starting to learn it, right? The dollar is falling. They're going to need something to pick that up, to pay for their debt. And once they get a Bitcoin strategic reserve and actually start buying millions of dollars of Bitcoin, and, try to own most of the Bitcoin network that they can, they're already late. But if they could own as much as possible, they will have more global control than another country that steps in and does it. Because the small countries are already doing it. I lived in El Salvador for a couple months before I got into real estate. And when I was out there, it was terrible. And I don't know what it looks like now, but over the last several years, El Salvador has been the leading country in Bitcoin. And I already know it's going to be completely different in the next 5 to 10 years, because they've been buying Bitcoin for years now. And once the US does what they do on a bigger scale, we're going to have a lot more. I'm not even going to say freedom. They're going to have a lot more control, and the people that buy Bitcoin is going to have a lot more freedom. I think of, when I buy Bitcoin, I'm buying time. I'm not buying money. I'm not buying goods. I'm buying time. And to me, that's the most important thing. If you saw that movie Out of Time by Justin Timberlake, And when that guy was about to die and he gave Justin all that time, that's what happens when you start buying Bitcoin over a period of time, small amounts or large amounts. You know, whenever you close a deal, put that in instead of doing this, and that. I promise you, you're buying time. And as time goes by, as you can see, small amounts. Name another investment where you could put 500,000-600,000 in and get 1.8 million. That is absurd. Now, granted, there is probably things, but over a period of time, is it going to continue to grow like how Bitcoin has? You know, just having, and to me, like I said, the US dollar price don't matter. Don't look at that. Just look at how much Bitcoin you got. Because 15 Bitcoin, when you break it down into fractions, is 15, every one Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. So in Bitcoin, you have 15 Bitcoin, you basically a billionaire. If you're able to hold this for 10 years, 15 years, you are a billionaire at 15 Bitcoin, because one Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. Think of Satoshis as dollars, because when $1 equals one Satoshi, that means you have $100 million. So technically, 500,000 made this person a billionaire, if they're able to hold long enough. Now that's the key. And that's why tonight is extremely important. And this is why I need you guys to buy a ledger, because there's going to be people, the new generation. I hope none of y'all generation or 20 younger, but if you are the same person, the new generation, they're going to try to take our Bitcoin away from us. You know why? Because they didn't have the luxury we had. They're going to be able to buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin is in the millions, 10 million, 15 million, like babies that are being born right now. They're not going to be able to buy Bitcoin at 116,000. Just like we wasn't able to, well, at least me, wasn't able to buy Apple when it was, you know, I can't even say that. I was 5, 6. I could have hustled at that age, but nah, I was probably like 13. I don't know how old I was. But what I'm saying is they're not going to be able to get Bitcoin at the price that we got it. So they're going to want to take Bitcoin from us. And they're not going to take it physically. They're going to do it strategically by, you know, trying to scam us, fraud, things like that. So that's why it's important we learn how to secure it now. So 5, 10, 15 years from now, we already understand the network and nobody could take it from us. And the small amounts that we have now will be very much a lot in the future. That's why I tell every one of my family members, get 1 million Satoshis, which is $1,200 today, put it in one of these and just save it for your kids. And that will pay for their college. That will set them up if they need a business loan for when they get 18, 20 years old, things like that. Like, that's all you need. And then for us, you know, we don't need no 401ks. We don't need no high yield savings accounts. We don't need that. All we need to do is buy Bitcoin, learn how to secure it, and just accumulate as much value as we can to this earth, you know, through flipping land, teaching people, through drop shipping, whatever you could do to make some money, your 9 to 5, and just accumulate as much and buy Bitcoin. That's all we need to do, literally. And that's what it makes it dope, because now you're not confused. Before, I felt like I had to buy this, I had to buy this, I had to buy land, I had to buy crypto, I needed some rentals. And I'm like, all scatterbrained, like, no, all we need is Bitcoin. My mind is completely focused. I need to make as much money as possible. I need to close as many deals as possible. So with that money, I could buy Bitcoin. And now when I get more Bitcoin, like I was telling y'all before, I could use my Bitcoin as collateral to get loans, so I could get money, just like how people get rich off of real estate. and become multimillionaires and get 200 houses is the same way we could do with Bitcoin. We could take out good debt and buy Bitcoin with that debt and live great, you know. But I'm gonna end that here. This was great. I'll put this probably most likely on YouTube. We got a good session in, like I said. Make sure y'all join the Thursday call. We're gonna have the brothers come on. They're gonna go over the land portal. I definitely think that's important because they were showing me actually today about the land portal, and they did so many good updates. That's going to be a multi-million-dollar company. When y'all see it this weekend, y'all gonna understand, like, they got the wetlands map, flood zones, slope. They know everything about the land without having to do anything. So that's why I want you guys to start using that as well. I'm going to start learning how to use that as well. And it's for the same price as Propstream too. So Propstream, count your days. But I appreciate y'all. Let me see if there's any other questions before I go. I spoke to a seller and realized I was actually considering selling his land. He only wanted to be paid in Bitcoin only. I told him I didn't think that was possible. No, you can't buy land in Bitcoin as of yet. So can you secure Bitcoin across multiple devices and passwords? Yes. So I have multiple of these and the decent wallets. I don't just have one. I have multiple. You should never put all your money in one basket. So I have multiple spread out. So if anything gets breached or this building explode, God forbid, what something happens, you know, I'll still have some bread. But you don't want to get it too scattered where you forget what key phrases for this or what thing for this. So that's important too. Let me go down. And I appreciate y'all. That was a good call. Hold on, let me get a screenshot of this. I feel like we went in tonight. We went in. Appreciate y'all. Have a good night, y'all. Stay blessed. Buy some Bitcoin.